Okay, so what if I told you there's one simple phrase, just one, that really holds the secret to wealth? It's a huge idea from Rich Dad Poor Dad that pretty much changes everything. And that phrase is mind your own business. Now, that's not about being rude. It's about this massive shift in how you think, a shift that separates the people who are financially free from, well, everybody else. It's all about understanding the huge difference between your job and your real business. To really get this, let's just start with a question. When you think of McDonald's, what pops into your head? Hamburgers, right? The golden arches, for sure. But what if I told you that has almost nothing to do with what their business actually is? So there's this legendary story about Ray Kroc, the guy who made McDonald's into an empire. He's giving a talk to this packed room of MBA students at the University of Texas. And he asks them, "Ladies and gentlemen, what business am I in?" Well, the students kind of laugh. The answer seems so obvious, right? Like a total softball question for these future business leaders. Finally, someone shouts out, "Ray, come on, everyone knows you're in the hamburger business."
Croc just lets the laughter die down. He smiles, and then he drops this bombshell. He tells them, look, my franchise owners sell the hamburgers, but my business, the McDonald's Corporation, my business is acquiring the amazing real estate that every single one of those franchises is built on. And it's true. Today, McDonald's is one of the biggest single owners of real estate on the planet. And that single idea, that difference between the thing you sell and the business you're really in, that's the key we're unlocking right now.
And that brings us right to the heart of it, this huge distinction between your profession and your business. Getting this isn't just a fun little factoid. It is the fundamental secret to building real, lasting wealth. See, most of us are trained to focus on our profession, but the rich, they focus on their business. Let's make this super, super clear. On one side, you've got your profession. That's your job, your 9 to 5. It's how you trade your time for a paycheck just to cover the bills. But on the other side, you have your business. And this isn't about what you do, it's all about what you own. Your business is your asset column. It's a collection of things that work for you, making you money while you're sleeping or on vacation or just hanging out with family. And here is the trap that so many of us fall right into. We go to school to become a chef or an engineer, a graphic designer, whatever. We spend years mastering a profession, and then we become that profession. We spend our entire lives working in a job, but we never get around to building our own business on the side. We completely mix up our income-generating job with actual wealth-generating assets. So what's the real cost here? What happens when you spend your whole life minding someone else's business? Well, you end up in this lifelong financial struggle, even if you have a high-paying job. Because when you're not minding your own business, you're working for pretty much everyone else. It's a trap we just fall into. When you work a job, you're not the main person benefiting from all your hard work. First, you're working for the company, right? Making its owners and shareholders rich. Then the government comes along and takes its huge cut through taxes, a lot of times before you even see the money. And finally, you work for the bank, sending whatever's left over to pay off your mortgage, your car loan, and your credit card debt. So here's the bottom line. Your talent, your energy, your most valuable resource, your time, it's all being spent to make other people rich. You basically become a gear in someone else's financial machine. The goal is to start building your own machine. Okay, so how do you build your own machine? It all comes down to one single thing. You have to start acquiring real assets. This is the absolute key to mining your own business. But what really actually counts as an asset? Here is the simplest definition you are ever going to need. A real asset is something you own that puts money into your pocket, whether you show up or not. And this part is so critical. If you have to physically be there for it to make money, it's not a business, it's just another job. A true asset works for you. And here are the classics. We're talking about things like businesses you own but are managed by other people. We're talking about stocks and bonds that pay you dividends or interest, real estate that brings in rent checks every month, notes, which are basically just IOUs that pay you back with interest, and of course, royalties from intellectual property like books, music, or patents. These are the kinds of things that work for you 24/7. So what's the path forward? I mean, how do you actually do this? Well, the plan is surprisingly simple, even if the discipline part can be tough. It all starts with a conscious decision to start minding your own business, starting today. And the advice here is incredibly practical. First, don't quit your day job. You need it to pay the bills, and this is crucial, you need it to fund your asset purchases.
But then, with every single paycheck, you start buying real assets, not liabilities like fancy cars or the newest gadgets that just go down in value. You use your job's income to build that asset column, piece by piece, until the day comes when the income from your assets is bigger than your expenses. This really is it. This is the simple, powerful formula for financial freedom. You just have to focus your energy not just on earning more, but on owning more. Shift your spending away from things that cost you money and toward things that make you money. And that brings us right back to the beginning. Ray Kroc knew he was in the real estate business, not the hamburger business. He was minding his own business. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Beyond your profession, beyond your job, what business will you start minding?